Hey YouTube, it's Ashley and you're watching The Substance Project, where we work to bring you more than makeup tutorials and fashion hauls every Wednesday. Today I wanted to share a quick video on retirement savings. Wah wah, I know it sounds super boring, but it's actually really important, and it's actually kind of hard to get right. It takes a little work to understand. I really want to share two amazing resources, which I will link to below. One is a 2013 PBS documentary. 55 minutes, but I highly recommend it. And the second is a recent NPR podcast. So I'm going to summarize my key takeaways from those two resources today. So chew on this. According to those two sources, half of Americans say that they cannot afford to save for retirement right now. 1/3 of us say that we have no retirement savings at all. That number is even higher for baby boomers, 40% of whom report saving nothing for retirement to date. And 1/3 of currently retired Americans rely only on Social Security for their income. So that's all pretty alarming considering it's widely agreed upon that you need 10 to 12 times your current annual income in order to get by in retirement. A lot of people say you actually need 15 times what you're currently making in order to feel comfortable in retirement. So to break that down, if you're making $100K, that means you need $1.5 million to get through retirement. So because of this huge discrepancy, the government is actually thinking about stepping in. I won't go into the history here, but it's important to understand that only about 50% of companies in America actually offer any type of retirement savings plan. That's a totally different reality from the 1970s, when about 40% of Americans relied on a pension, which was guaranteed income from the time of their retirement to the time of their death. Now, that's a big difference too, being able to rely on your company for continued retirement versus not even being able to rely on your company for savings plans. We know that when employees are offered some sort of retirement savings tool, they're 15 times more likely to invest. So I was surprised to learn that there's actually legislation in about 20 states already addressing this issue, even though it's not necessarily enacted in law yet. But most recently, New Jersey is thinking about enacting some legislation that would require companies to funnel a small amount, 3% of an employee's paycheck, to a state-managed retirement plan. The idea is that companies would auto-enroll employees. Employees could opt out if they wanted to. They could also increase the percentage. I haven't done enough research on this or thought about this enough to really form an opinion on whether I think this is something the states should get involved in. But that said, 3% seems like a bare minimum that all of us should be saving. When I got my first job, my dad left me with one very strong lesson, which was you have to rely on yourself and you've got to take care of yourself for the future. Meaning you can't assume there's going to be Social Security. You can't assume that anyone else is going to fund your life. He told me always pay yourself first. And because of that, when I got my first job and I crunched my numbers, I actually started by putting 30% of my paycheck into my 401k. I didn't realize that was abnormal until a couple years later. So I'd encourage you guys to check out the NPR podcast. It's only a few minutes long. And definitely the PBS documentary if you've got the time. I will link to both below. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, please give us a thumbs up. Think about subscribing and maybe even share us with someone who might be interested. If you have thoughts or additional resources, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching and have a great one.